journalists since this new deployment of warships from the United States began up until 3 months ago.
All right, Stefano Pozzamon in Caracas for us this morning. Stefano, thank you for your reporting. With us now, CNN's Chief National Security Analyst Jim Sciutto, who's laughing at me right now, and CNN military analyst, retired Colonel Cedric Leighton. Jim, I want to start with you here because you've got new reporting on this, and it's complicated, right? Because the U.S. is involved right now in these active strikes against drug boats, what the administration says are drug boats in the water. At the same time, you've got reporting of the president being briefed on land action that could be connected to regime change. I mean, there's a lot going on here.
This is what Zach Cohen and Kevin Liptak and I are told, and that is that the president was briefed this week on multiple military options for Venezuela, up to and including strikes on land, and including not just striking drug targets, but also potentially military targets. I'm told that Southcom, Southern Command, has set up cells for developing these strike options, these strike packages, which have then been presented to the president, Pete Hegseth, the defense secretary, and Dan Kane, the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. Now, the president hasn't decided to exercise these options, and our reporting is that the president hasn't decided how far he wants to go, and frankly has reservations about going to full-scale military action there. That said, they've at least developed the options for him, and given that range of options, it shows you at least what they're considering, right? And they certainly, with all these pieces in place there, including the biggest warship in the U.S. Navy, right, the Gerald Ford, they have the capability to carry out these options.
And again, we're showing these strikes against what the administration says are drug vessels, and this is connected but slightly different than what you're talking about here. And I'm going to talk about the military implications of this with Cedric in a second. But Jim, from a political and diplomatic perspective here, explain to me that subtle difference between when you're talking about strikes on military targets in Venezuela versus the video we keep showing of the boats here.
Well, to date, the administration has gone off after what it says are drug smugglers here, these deadly strikes. Of course, there are those who question that they know this, including some of our closest allies. To date, that has been as far as they go. But there is discussion, at least consideration of going bigger, right, with possibly even the intention of trying to push Maduro out of power. Now, it's our understanding that Trump's hope, to some degree, is that this show of force might encourage others inside the country to abandon him, right, and in other words, do America's work for it, right, short of, no one's talking about a full-scale invasion. But, of course, it's not clear that that's going to happen, right? That might just be a hope and ambition. And at some point, the president might decide to apply more military pressure.
So, Colonel Leighton, to you, what's the difference from a military standpoint of continuing to hit these boats, which, again, the administration says are drug boats, and then striking on the ground at potential state targets inside Venezuela?
Yeah, that's a considerable difference and would represent, John, a very big escalation in this effort. So any type of campaign of this type requires a great deal of planning. And one of the things that I'm comparing it to is the operation back in 1989 against Panama, Operation Just Cause, as we called it. So in that particular scenario, it took almost 2 years to plan that operation and to actually take out the then leader of Panama, de facto leader of Panama, Manuel Noriega. And he was implicated in drug trafficking as well. So there are certain parallels here. But in that particular case, there were certain precipitating actions on the part of both the Panamanians and the U.S. that led to Operation Just Cause actually being executed. And when it was finally executed, we employed about 26,000 troops to actually make that happen. So when it comes to this particular operation against Venezuela,